Tonight on CTV News at 6. Finding closure 5 decades later.
There is always hope, and that is what we hope that all our families of missing people who I truly feel for take out of this, is that there is hope.
Police in North Bay credit new technology to solving an historic human remains investigation. And a funding boost from the Department of Justice.
Have faith in us to provide us with this funding to continue to do what we do, and that's support survivors and victims of human trafficking.
Sudbury's Angels of Hope Against Human Trafficking can now expand virtual support services. Plus, having a little fun while thinking pink.
Show that we can do powerful things just by supporting each other, supporting the cancer community.
The largest all-women golf tournament in the North supports local cancer care.
CTV News at 6 with Marina Moore and Tony Rima with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with closure. 5 decades in the making. North Bay police have solved a 50-year-old cold case with help from new forensic technology. CTV's Eric Tashner has the details.
It was here in June 51 years ago where this human skull was found lying in a swampy area behind the former Beaumark missile base by summer students working with the Ministry of the Environment. Police conducted a vast search for other remains but did not find any. The case stumped officers for years.
Without additional investigative leads or forensic technology available that we have today, investigators were unable to determine the individual's identity, and the investigation became inactive.
It was believed the individual had been deceased for approximately 1 to 2 years prior to the discovery. The anthropologist's report estimated he was between the ages of 24 and 75 at the time of his death. 3 years ago, the investigation was revisited following advancements in forensic science, including investigative genetic genealogy, a tool that combines DNA analysis and genealogy research to help identify unknown individuals. It gave officers the opportunity to re-examine the DNA, and police were able to identify his surviving relatives.
Forensic genealogists then use those connections to build family trees and develop new leads that may help identify a person.
Through this, police identified the remains belonged to Claude Hamilton Brownscombe, a First World War veteran who was born in 1896 in Uxbridge.
Military medical records placed him in Toronto in 1917 at 22 years of age and described him as being 5 feet 2 inches tall, blue eyes and brown hair.
He lived in Timmins in the late 1920s, and he was on voting records in 1949 and 1957.
He worked at the McIntyre mine and participated in community activities, including local bowling leagues.
Police interviewed surviving family members who provided DNA, a great-niece and a great-nephew, who recalled Brownscombe lived a quiet Northern Ontario cabin life. Officers say there are not enough remains to determine the cause of death, but don't suspect foul play. They are considering this case closed.
There is always hope, and that is what we hope that all our families of missing people who I truly feel for take out of this, is that there is hope.
Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
Several victim support organizations across Canada received funding from the Department of Justice today. As CTV's Madison Merrier reports, Sudbury's Angels of Hope Against Human Trafficking is one of them.
Today is recognized as World Day Against Trafficking of Persons.
The significance about today is to honor the courage and resilience of survivors of human trafficking, and to acknowledge that this is happening in our own backyards. Despite what people may think that it's happening in big cities and foreign countries, this is an issue, and Sudbury is considered a hub for human trafficking.
The Department of Justice is providing $3.35 million in federal funding to 9 organizations across the country that support victims and survivors of human trafficking. The Minister of Women and Gender Equality, Richie Valdez, says in part, "We are strengthening Canada's response by enhancing supports for victims and survivors and advancing community-driven prevention efforts. Together, we are building a future where everyone can live safely."
We are so incredibly grateful that the Government of Canada recognizes that the work we do as an organization and have faith in us to provide us with this funding to continue to do what we do, and that's support survivors and victims of human trafficking.
Angels of Hope Against Human Trafficking will be receiving $85,000 over the course of 3 years to expand their virtual support services to include survivors outside of Greater Sudbury.
Community members could, share our awareness posts, donate to organizations that help survivors and victims of human trafficking, educate themselves on the signs of human trafficking, because that could actually save someone's life that may be being trafficked.
Scarpolini says some indicators of individuals being trafficked include not personally holding their documentation, not having control over their finances, and being improperly dressed for the weather. Madison Marier, CTV News, Sudbury.
The province gave an update this morning on the wildfire situation in Northern Ontario. There are currently 159 active fires, with 30 considered out of control. Officials say 80 fires have been extinguished over the past 2 weeks. Ontario's Natural Resources Minister says while the situation appears to be improving, there is still a long way to go. Crews from around the country are now supporting Ontario's firefighters.
Personnel and aircraft from Alberta, Newfoundland, New Brunswick, and the Yukon, as well as the federal government, have been here for the last several weeks doing amazing work. And earlier this week, crews from Prince Edward Island, as well as over 100 firefighters from Mexico, arrived in the Northwest. These firefighters from Mexico are highly trained and have worked alongside our crews in Ontario before.
We also have field officers on the ground in those locations helping the communities. The wraparound supports that are available, I've mentioned before, outside of just looking at hotel space, is what is the healthcare capacity of the region that we're looking at having host cities.
The NDP is still critical of the government's handling of the wildfires in northwestern Ontario, where several communities have faced devastating losses. The NDP hosted a press conference this afternoon with several First Nation chiefs, saying there are not enough resources and those resources are too far away from areas routinely affected by wildfires.
Today, I heard the ministers indicate that they have invested $150 million. And clearly this is not enough, as they're getting additional resources from other countries, in particular Mexico. So clearly we're not investing enough. In 2024, the base budget of 2024 was $135 million. They actually spent $107 million approximately. So clearly it's still not enough. Reactionary.
We need to be recognized, respected, and incorporated into how forests are managed. Indigenous communities must be partners in decisions that affect our territories, not observers waiting for decisions to be made elsewhere. Like many of my fellow First Nation chiefs, I support a full and independent inquiry to Ontario's response to the wildfires that devastated our homelands.
Minister Mike Harris's office says 170 new permanent fire personnel positions have been added, including crew leads, and that higher compensation has been given to critical staff like firefighters and pilots. Adding, the MNR will hold an after-action review on wildfire response, as they do every year. And by the way, Greater Sudbury lifted its fire ban today, just in time for long weekend camping. But will the weather hold up? Let's bring in CTV's Tony Rima with a snapshot of the forecast.
Marina, and good evening, everyone. We're going to start with weather alerts, and there's a severe thunderstorm watch in place for the far north in through Attawapiskat. This big yellow mass behind me in through northwestern Ontario, that's a heat warning. Temperatures 33 degrees up to 38 with the humidity, so it's rather warm there. It's going to get kind of warm over the next couple of days here. On our forecast radar, not all that bad, but clouds and showers are going to be rolling through our broadcast region, and that's going to impact us Friday into Saturday. Full weather details a little later in the show. Marina.
Thank you, Tony. With the municipal elections fast approaching, one long-serving North Bay City Councillor says he will not run for re-election. In a public letter to the community, Mac Bain says after 23 years on City Council, he will not seek re-election. Bain thanked residents, his fellow councillors, and his family for their support over the years. He says while he is stepping back from council, he will remain a councillor until his current term ends and will continue to serve as Executive Director of Federation of Northern Ontario Mayors. Bain says he's grateful for being allowed to serve this long on council, calling it one of the greatest honors of his life. And still to come here on CTV News at 6. The old Ramada Inn in Timmins has officially sold. We'll chat with Cochrane District Services Board about the sale. And WestJet flight attendants issued a strike notice. What travelers should know coming up. A potential strike by Canada's second largest airline is looming over travel plans for thousands of Canadians ahead of what is for many a long weekend. WestJet flight attendants have issued a strike notice with a possible strike or lockout coming as early as Sunday. The union says unpaid work remains one of the major issues. WestJet passengers are keeping a close eye on the situation.
I think it'll be okay. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm hoping that WestJet will work with, the airline stewardess. They do deserve to be paid for the work that they are doing. I think that is very important.
WestJet and the Flight Attendants Union have agreed on a plan to wind down operations in the event of a labor disruption. Some flights could be grounded starting tomorrow unless the two sides can reach an agreement. And there are some key travel tips that people who have booked with WestJet should know about should the strike happen. Here's CTV's Alison Bamford.
The whole time been thinking about the what ifs.
The Mescal family is flying to Ontario, where they were supposed to meet up with their daughter, who's flying in from Montreal.
We had sort of alternative plans designed and thought through just in case there is a strike, and so with the news today we've decided to sort of go with that plan.
To avoid any possible flight disruptions, they cancelled their daughter's flight and instead will drive to pick her up. WestJet is offering free cancellations and one-time changes to all passengers booked between today and August 4th to limit potential strike impacts.
If they are able to move their dates, it's best to do so, just in case the strike does happen. It just makes it easier for the clients and for WestJet.
Gabor Lukács, president of Air Passenger Rights, recommends travelers stay put until WestJet cancels their flight.
Once they cancel your flight, you have far more rights.
If WestJet cancels flights, they're required to book passengers on the next available flight, including competitor airlines, or they must provide a refund. It's the passenger's choice. If these cancellations happened preemptively before the strike, Lukács says passengers are entitled to even more.
They have to provide you meals and accommodation and a lump sum $1,000 compensation, up to $1,000.
The Saskatoon airport encourages passengers flying with WestJet over the next few days to reach out directly to the airline if they require assistance. The airport says they do have plans in place to limit any potential disruption. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Algoma Steel has posted another tough financial quarter. The Sioux steelmaker reported a $96 million second quarter loss as 50% U.S. tariffs continue to impact Algoma Steel's bottom line. In a news release, Algoma Steel says the tariffs fundamentally altered and permanently disrupted the company's historical cross-border business model. Silver lining, according to the company, is record steel plate sales for the second consecutive quarter. Back we go to Tony now for a check on the current conditions this Thursday evening. Tony, another gorgeous one out there.
It sure is, Marina. Let's take a look at your current temperatures, and they're above seasonal. We're going to start off with Timmins 28 degrees, much the same in through Cochrane. Moosonee basking in the sunshine, 29 for Kapuskasing. It's 30 degrees, even warmer for Chapleau. Bit of a cool down for Wawa, 21 degrees. The Sioux, mix of sun and cloud coming in at 28. Parry Sound, 25 degrees. Plenty of sunshine there. We'll head north, shall we? North Bay, mostly sunny, 25. A little warmer in through Timiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake. For Greater Sudbury, sun, cloud, 28 degrees. A little cooler in through Espanola, Elliott Lake, and Gore Bay. But Plenty of sunshine for all to see. And let's take a look. What is our dog walking forecast for tomorrow? This picture of DJ was provided by Luke Baudry of South River, but recently he was in Sudbury. But the forecast for South River tomorrow morning, 17 degrees, beautiful time to take your dog out. And then things start to get a little warmer, especially by 2 p.m., 28. I'll have your 7-day weather forecast later in our show. Marina.
A well-known and previously debated piece of property in Timmins has officially sold. The Cochrane District Services Board has successfully completed the sale of the property located at 1800 Riverside Drive in Timmins for $13.8 million. Joining us now to talk about the sale and change in directions is Brian Marks. He's the Cochrane District Services Board CAO. Brian, thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
So we know the site, which was the former Ramada Inn, was originally purchased to be developed into a homelessness, addiction, recovery and treatment hub. And after that fell through, there were talks of a seniors residence. So Brian, what now? Can you tell us what will officially be going in this location?
Sure. As far as I know, it will be repurposed as a hotel once again. The company that purchased it, that is their core business.
So why did it take so long to get to this point? Can you give us a little bit of the history and why things didn't go as originally planned?
Sure. So we purchased the DSAB purchased the property in December of 2024. Since we had largely been responsible for the development of the Heart Hub model, which was deployed around the province, the board in their foresight, using some sound risk management and understanding the need of treatment in Timmins, authorized the purchase of the property to be used for homelessness, addiction, recovery, and treatment. And then when the funding didn't come through for that, and it was always said this as a backup plan, the next logical place would be to satisfy a major need, which was affordable seniors housing. But all the while, under every option, there was always the opportunity to investigate or entertain a purchase and sale agreement, as we do with all of our properties. So given the hotel market in the city of Timmins these days, it got to a point where those who were expressing interest and the offers that were on the table just became too great to ignore. So we explored those while we also continued to explore the redevelopment into seniors housing.
So the CDSV has been keeping the building afloat since 2024, as you mentioned, and there have been costs associated with that. But with the sale, has the board made its money back? And if so, what are the plans with the gains?
We ended up with a purchase and sale agreement of $13.8 million. So we did realize an overall profit over the life of the project of approximately $2.9 million. I say approximately because there are still some unrealized revenues and some unbooked expenses still to come, but nothing of material nature. For now, it will be put in reserve.
And finally, I have to ask, any idea when the new hotel might open to the public?
I don't think it's closing, so I think it's available today for hotel purposes under the new ownership. And in fact, I believe evacuees from Kashechewan are still using the hotel until they're able to return back to Kashechewan in the near future.
All right, thank you for this, Brian.
Thank you, my pleasure.
I've been speaking with Brian Marks. He's the Cochrane District Services Board CAO. Still to come here on CTV News for the North. A drone strike on vessels in Egypt's Mediterranean port could mean escalation in the Middle East. Plus, we're learning more about the Canadian woman recently arrested for NATO spying. Tensions remain high in the Middle East today. A drone strike on vessels in Egypt's Mediterranean port of Damietta has signaled a potential new front in the U.S.-Iran war. Egypt says an investigation shows an unidentified drone caused a fire on 2 vessels at the port. It's near the Suez Canal, which links the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. Egyptian officials say no one has claimed responsibility, but measures are being taken to protect Egypt's national security. The attack raises the prospect of threats to shipping through the Suez Canal, last remaining safe export route for Saudi oil. Overnight, the U.S. military says it struck dozens of targets in Iran after Tehran fired at American forces in the region. U.S. Central Command says it carried out a 2-hour operation targeting the military command centers of Iran's Revolutionary Guards. Iranian state media reports 3 people were killed in the U.S. strikes on Qasem Island. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered the airstrikes after Iran's surprise attack on an American base in Jordan. Russia widened its attacks on Ukraine earlier today, killing at least 8 people and leaving more than 50 wounded. Cleanup in this town bordering Poland is underway, with residents and rescue workers searching for survivors. Cities and towns across a wide area of Ukraine targeted by missiles and drones. The intense violence follows reports of a shortage of Ukrainian interceptor missiles. Poland scrambled fighter jets early today to secure its airspace amid concern of spillover from Russian attacks in neighboring Ukraine. The sirens could be heard in the early morning hours in Lublin, southeast of Warsaw. Meanwhile, residents in an eastern town reported a loud explosion and found a crater and debris from a yet-to-be-identified object that the government suspects to be a Russian missile. Through open data sources and court documents, CTV News has unmasked the identity of the Canadian intern accused of spying on NATO. Her job at NATO's Military Command Center was cleared by Global Affairs after being vetted by CSIS. CTV's Judy Trin digs deeper into the details.
Reuters reported that the Canadian intern arrested for spying at the Military Command Center of NATO was named Claire Zed, which matches a former Statistics Canada employee identified in this federal court document. Claire Biwei Jiang worked in Ottawa and was accused of fraud, of deceiving the Canadian Border Services Agency into thinking she was 2 different persons. Documents show she was born in 1993. It's not known when she became a Canadian citizen. This former CSIS director says the suspect was caught before she could do greater damage.
The payoff for that operation is 15 years from now, when that individual is the director or director general or higher. That's the big payoff, because then you have access to real information and useful information. At her level, the kinds of information she would have access to would be probably pretty minimal.
An account linked to Zhang shows that she was seeking an apartment in Mons, Belgium a year ago. The Post says she's starting an internship at Shape NATO. Zhang has degrees in economics and engineering. At the University of Ottawa, she was part of the Smart Connected Vehicles Innovation Centre. The lab does research on artificial intelligence, self-driving vehicles, and drone technology.
If the third-party country is in fact China, it shows China's interests.
Her LinkedIn profile says she also did work for the World Trade Organization, the Canadian Space Agency, and the European Space Agency. Before starting her work at NATO, her security clearance was approved by the Government of Canada after being vetted by CSIS.
There are a lot of opportunities to turn people, but sleeper cells sit for very, very long periods of time. And so the sort of reverse engineering that is done of this process to understand who she is truly and what we knew about her and what we should have known about her is going to be very telling.
CSIS has recently put out a warning that international students could be used in foreign interference operations. Zhang was first hired into the federal public service in 2017 through a federal student works program. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade met his American counterpart in Washington Wednesday to advance trade talks. Dominic LeBlanc put out this image of his meeting with Jameson Greer, along with Canada's chief trade negotiator, Janice Charette. LeBlanc shared few details from the conversation, except that both sides, quote, agreed to remain in close contact and continue working together. There's more news ahead, but first, your full weather forecast with Tony Rima and the details so that everyone can prepare for the long weekend. Tony.
Thanks for that, Marina. Let's start with our weather alerts, and there's still that severe thunderstorm watch in place for Ottawa. That's going to continue until this evening, and the big yellow blob behind me, that's a heat warning for northwestern Ontario. Temperatures in the 30s with the humidity much warmer than that. So this is what we have right now. We're being influenced by high pressure, and then a low along with a warm front, cold front are going to kind of move through the broadcast region, do a little dance, if you will, and as a result, we're going to get some unsettled conditions, overcast skies along with showers and risk of thunderstorms. And you can see right here, especially in through Saturday, it's going to be a stormy one. Let's take a look at our overnight conditions. For Sudbury, just a few clouds, 16 degrees. Sault Ste. Marie, there's a chance of showers, a risk of a thunderstorm or two. Timmins, a few clouds, clear in through Timiskaming Shores in North Bay. Moosonee, this is what you can expect as we take a look. Overnight, a chance of showers, 18. Again, a risk of thunderstorms in through there. Stormy weather for Cap and Hearst, Wawa. A chance of rain overnight, still on the warm side, but Gore Bay on Manitoulin Island and Parry Sound, still rather nice. Okay, let's take a look at your 7-day weather forecast, starting with Sudbury, Nickel Belt tomorrow. Well, sun cloud, chance of showers, and risk of thunderstorms. 28 degrees. Temperature drops a little bit on Saturday, but still unsettled. Sunday looks overcast. Monday, head out to the beach. There's a chair waiting for you. It's 26 degrees. Clear skies in through Tuesday. Wednesday, a few more clouds. Wednesday, 27 when it should be 25 this time of year. For Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, tomorrow, sun cloud and risk of thunderstorms, 25. The norm for this time of year is 24. Saturday looks kind of wet. Sunday looks beautiful. Monday, that's a barbecue. It kind of looks like, some of my colleagues here said Pac-Man, right? Kind of puffing, smoke coming from that barbecue. Maybe somebody's burning the chicken or Italian sausages. I don't know. But Wednesday, we start to see some rain. And then on Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud. Pat Laframboise is just off camera here, folks, and he's laughing at that comment. And through Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, tomorrow, a risk of thunderstorms. Still wet on Saturday. Sunday looks pretty good. Monday, heck, head to the beach. There's that chair again. And on Tuesday, it's going to be wet. That's going to continue until Wednesday. Thursday, sun cloud and 26 degrees. For Timiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake tomorrow, risk of thunderstorms, and then it's going to be wet in through Saturday. Holiday Monday, though, good day to grill, maybe hit get the barbecue out. Again, it's going to be above seasonal temperatures, unsettled midweek next week. And finally, your 7-day weather forecast for North Bay, West Nipissing. Tomorrow, sun, clouds, chance of rain, and a risk of thunderstorms in the afternoon. Saturday looks kind of wet, but Monday, beautiful day. Same with next week. And then Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud and 26 degrees. As we take a look at our picture of the day, this is courtesy of Norm Bolduc. And he says, welcoming the start of a glorious day on the shores of Porcupine Lake. Thanks so much, Norm. Love that picture. There's more news still ahead. You're watching CTV.
Officials with Kids Help Phone say they've noticed an increase in the number of young people reaching out after hours. The number of teens and youth texting for help overnight has increased by 24% compared to the same time last year.
They are so vulnerable because they're the ones that are faced with the least amount of control in an economy, in geopolitical environments and war, where they have the least control and the most worries about what their future. And that is where it's driving a sense of hopelessness and that idea of depression.
The service is available to those needing help 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now to a story that speaks to the importance of early detection, with a particular focus on First Nations health. A 39-year-old Indigenous woman with colon cancer is on a mission to raise awareness after she says her symptoms were largely ignored by medical professionals. CTV's Abigail Beeman shares her story.
After 2 days, a nurse comes and disconnects the bag from me.
Jillian Niles shows us the realities of chemotherapy, part of a determined quest to prevent others from sitting in this hospital bed.
Numerous doctor's appointments saying, like, listen, there's something wrong. I don't feel good. And I'm having trouble going to the washroom. It's irregular. The blood in my stool is concerning, and they just kept sweeping it under the rug as, oh, it's hemorrhoids.
Niles suffered debilitating pain for 3.5 years, begging to be heard, she says, before a doctor finally ordered further tests.
Then they found my cancer, but they found it at stage 3.
Incensed it wasn't caught sooner, despite detailing symptoms and telling doctors her grandmother died of colon cancer. As an Indigenous woman, she says she was caught up in stigma.
They were very happy to say, okay, you're in pain, let me give you this medication. But at the same time, I was saying, no, I don't want the pain pills. I want answers.
Both incidence rates and mortality from colorectal cancer has increased in our Indigenous Inuit Métis populations, which is kind of alarming.
Radiation oncologist Mark Godet says that's true across all age cohorts. In general, colon cancer rates are on the rise for Canadians younger than 50. Niles wants screening ages lowered further. She is just 39. And of all of the parts of her life she's grieving, she can't work or volunteer. The hardest is being less hands-on with her 3-year-old son, Jack.
It's very unfair because I want to be the best mom I can be in the world. So hopefully I'll make that up to him next year and for the rest of his life.
In the meantime, she's grateful for family, including her twin sister.
I believe in you. Okay, good.
And the help of nurse Diego Caesar with the Ottawa Hospital's Indigenous Cancer Program.
A later diagnosis, having to go through multiple avenues to get an answer, feeling unheard. I think that is a really common theme for everybody who's going through healthcare right now, but especially Indigenous people.
Niles hopes sharing her story will encourage others to self-advocate.
I want to really spread that awareness with everybody that you have the power to ask for help.
Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Federal funding aimed at bolstering food security and fire safety on the North Shore has been delivered to Mississauga First Nation. Sault Ste. Marie Algoma MP Terry Sheehan made the announcement yesterday. More than $612,000 will fund 3 Indigenous-led projects in the area, with half of the funding being used to explore how Indigenous-led fire stewardship contributes to food sovereignty and forestry management. Funding will also be used to develop a strategic plan for sustainable forest management within the Mississauga First Nation and a new hydroponic farm. Science North is getting support from the province to support Indigenous learning in Sudbury. The province is providing $650,000 in funding to establish a new water ecosystems exhibit called Woven by Water. The new exhibit will focus on Indigenous teachings while creating an interactive learn and play installation. Woven by Water will include a climbing structure, a simulation of a heron's perspective in the wetlands, and harvesting and cultural activities. A special swim challenge took place in North Bay for a good cause. The 11th annual Tour de Trout took place last night, raising over $18,000 for local youth swim programs. Organizers say community spirit was on full display as over 100 participants took part in the program, including the winter boot camp at the YMCA and the Tour de Trout Open Water Swim Series. Money raised will help ensure local youth have access to life-saving swim lessons and opportunities to build their confidence in the water. Still ahead on CTV News at 6. The Iron Man triathlon returns to Ottawa this weekend, and thousands of athletes are expected to take part. We get a preview coming up.
Clothing provided by Laura, Melanie Lynn.
Maybe you've seen them in your neighborhood, little libraries filled with books to share. One in Victoria, BC stands out, but not because of what's on the shelves. CTV's Adam Sawatsky checks out this story.
Across the street from this cruise ship terminal, you'll find Jeff Apollinario working at the end of his driveway.
I've always wanted to make a library with a cruise ship
theme, if you want to call it that.
But this little library is turning out to be a very big replica of the iconic Queen Mary.
Well, it's 8 foot long. So I got 8 foot more space in the garage now that it's out there.
Jeff started building it in here after finding a perfect piece of furniture discarded on a curb.
There was this 2-door gun cabinet sitting there.
Well, after studying books showing the blueprints from when the Queen Mary was built in the 1930s, Jeff focused on custom making every detail in miniature with help from his wife, Marge.
She was great with the sanding, with the varnishing. I put her to work on a lot of projects.
That's after she put him to work a lot throughout their careers.
She's tough as nails.
When we first met the couple a few years ago, Jeff and Marge told us they met at a military hospital in Saudi Arabia during the first Gulf War.
Well, just like she is now, she's a looker.
Marge was his respected boss, while Jeff was the guy that got things done.
Then I got to know him, and I thought it was even nicer.
3 decades after falling in love, Marge and Jeff survived countless conflicts overseas before facing unexpected adversity at home.
You play the cards you dealt, right, babe? And we're making the best of things.
So after Marge was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Jeff customized a trike so they could go on daily dates around the neighborhood. So although her memory was fading, their love was enduring.
I do love him. Yeah, I do.
Marge never got to see their library set sail at the end of their driveway. More than a year ago, she passed away.
We had a good run. We saw a lot of places, had a lot of fun times.
Which is why Jeff is so pleased to see the fun times people are having with the model.
This is brilliant. Yeah, it's really good.
Exchanging books and engaging in conversations.
And the fact that people light up when they see it, it makes it all worthwhile.
And while some ships are christened after Elizabeth's or Mary's, Jeff says this library won't be complete until he adds a plaque saying, "In memory of Marge." Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
I'm sure Marge is looking down with a big smile after seeing that. A unique exchange with China is helping turn Alberta into one of Canada's fastest growing hotbeds for table tennis. CTV's Moses Wildu has more on what's serving up the unexpected growth.
The room is packed and every single table tennis court filled at the Calgary Junior Table Tennis Association.
Ping pong, the population is getting bigger and bigger. So we try to get more people involved.
Former Canadian table tennis coach Yeonjin Duan started his club over a year ago, and they now have surpassed 200 members, and even started a rec club in town for older players called AI Ping Pong Club.
We are not a tech company. The AI means love in Chinese.
That love for the sport is leading to a unique cultural exchange between Alberta and China. Peter Vong from the Alberta Table Tennis Training Center says they hope to get their athletes to learn from the best coaches from China.
Table tennis is a very good sport in China, and now it's almost spread all over the world now.
Vong remembers how difficult it was to find rental space to teach the sport when he arrived in Alberta 13 years ago. Now Alberta has 7 dedicated spaces across the province, and some of the athletes got to hone their skills in China last year.
From China, they learned a lot from China, the technique for the whole day.
8-year-old Dallas Ng recently finished 3rd at the Youth World Table Tennis Championships in the under-11 category. He went on the exchange last year to Harbin, China, and says that experience has helped improve his game.
A long time ago, I used to always fall on the ground, but in China, let my footwork better a lot.
Others are also gaining that experience in their own backyard, learning valuable tips from Chinese coaches.
You could get it way better. It would go on the table. She would always give me pointers of what I could do better.
Duan hopes that more exchanges like this will bring more attention from table tennis players from across the country.
We need more high-level coaches from overseas or even from Canada, the other province, then come to here. Then we can just train the young kids together.
Moses Wildu, CTV News, Calgary.
And hundreds of athletes are set to converge onto the nation's capital on Sunday as the Iron Man triathlon returns to the city for the 2nd year in a row. CTV's Leah LaRocque reports.
Like most mornings, Nick Kerr's day starts just after dawn in the water.
A lot of early mornings, a lot of late nights getting the training in, but it's definitely worthwhile.
He is one of nearly 3,000 athletes racing the Ironman triathlon this Sunday in Ottawa.
So my typical training weeks are about 20 to 30 hours. So in the peak, I'm looking about probably like 25.
Ottawa playing host for the second year in a row.
The desire to race in Ottawa is really high. The Canadian market is really strong right now for endurance sports, and Ottawa specific.
The challenge is a demanding one. A 3.8 kilometer swim, 180 kilometer bike ride, then a complete marathon, 42.2 kilometers.
No music allowed, so it's just you and your thoughts the whole day, which tends to get a little bit dark on the run sometimes. It's just about, being in the moment, being present.
The finish line will be in Major Hills Park, and there will be several road closures beginning early Sunday, spanning across the city and into Gatineau, including major bridges.
This year we're getting our bridges open much earlier. Alexander Bridge, for instance, last year was a 4-day closure, and this year is only a single-day closure.
This is a huge event for the city. Last year, Ottawa Tourism says it generated an estimated $8 million, and this year is expected to be even more.
They are also shopping in our local businesses. They are visiting our attractions. They're still sleeping in hotels. So that's a lot of economic activity and also just vibrancy across the city. We also have athletes from 46 U.S. states and 65 countries.
For Kerr, after his swim, it's now time to lace up. And he says getting to that finish line is a team effort.
I have a great support system. A girlfriend at home, family that's always there supporting me, helping me sort of coordinate my busy schedule and keep the work life in balance.
Leah LaRocque, CTV News.
Music and movie news now. Here's David Daniel with the Hollywood Report.
No Grammys for BTS next year. The K-pop supergroup announced they will not submit music to be considered for the 2027 Grammy Awards. A statement by the group included the hope that music can be heard and loved for what it is, rather than being divided by region or language. Last month, the Recording Academy confirmed next year's ceremony will include a new category for Asian pop music performance.
And I was surprised how easy it was. But I'm not finished yet. That's what excites me.
Here's your first look at Michael B. Jordan in the latest remake of The Thomas Crown Affair. He follows in the fashionable footsteps of Steve McQueen and Pierce Brosnan as a rich businessman turned art thief. Jordan does double duty directing the film as well. The Thomas Crown Affair is due in theaters next March. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We're deep into earnings season when businesses share a financial update with investors. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has the story.
Apple reported earnings after the end of the trading day. The iPhone company reported revenue of just under $110 billion U.S. for its latest quarter. That is 16% better year over year. Mac sales were up 29%, iPhones up 22%, but sales in China are slowing and missed the estimate, which could be why investors sent the stock down in after-hours trading. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar's up to 71.41 U.S. West Texas Intermediate's down to 83.67 U.S. a barrel. Western Canadian Select up over $5 today to 67.17, and the TSX gained 172 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
And here are the current prices for some key commodities we watch. Gold continues to climb, up $35.77, closing the day at $41.0227 U.S. an ounce. Silver up $1.31. Copper up 8 cents. And so is nickel, ending at $7.73 U.S. a pound. Tony's back now with one last look at the weather, and it'll be a focus on Friday.
Thanks for that, Marina. Hot and humid Friday on the way. Let's take a look at your forecast, starting with Sudbury. 28 degrees, sun, cloud, rain, and risk of thunderstorms. Much the same in through Timmins. Sault Ste. Marie, a little cooler, but also an unsettled day. As we head on over to North Bay, thunderstorm activity. 28 degrees in through Parry Sound. Much the same type of forecast. Sun, cloud, rain, and risk of thunderstorms. And in through Timmins Shores, 1 degree warmer, 29 degrees, and an unsettled day. Marina, it's back over to you.
All right, thank you, Tony. Finally for us tonight, Think Pink and Health Sciences North Foundation partnered up again for the largest all-women golf tournament north of Toronto. CTV's Madison Merrier tells us more.
Around 150 women showed up in pink to take a swing at cancer. In style.
There we go. This is our 14th annual year, and we feel that we certainly need to make awareness of what's going on in Sudbury, particularly with the cancer survivors. And we have an incredible foundation right here in Sudbury where all the money stays locally.
Think Pink has been going on for many, many years and just recently has supported HSN Foundation for Cancer Care, which is incredible. They have raised over $30,000 in support of cancer care over the years.
Parent says the donations raised through the Think Pink golf tournament will help HSN fund vital cancer equipment. And many of the women we spoke with say that's what keeps them coming back year after year.
It's also a wonderful event to celebrate women coming together and show that we can do powerful things just by supporting each other, supporting the cancer community, survivors, friends, family. Cancers touch each and every one of us in our personal or in our professional lives.
Think Pink is a very special event for me and my family. My mom's had breast cancer. She's fought it. She's doing good. So yeah, cancer's we got this. We're the Pink Warriors, and we're gonna fight this.
We're the Pink Warriors. We're gonna fight this.
These ladies aren't just putting around. The tournament today was sold out, which is par for the course. Last year, the event raised $18,000, and today, the ladies on the links are hoping to drive that total higher. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Sudbury.
Hey, way to go, Madison. I like that. And we both ended up wearing pink just by chance today. What are the odds? That's all the time we have here on CTV News at 6. Angela Gemmel is in at 11:30 with your late local news. Tune in then. Good night.